is your soy sauce? Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are doing our first tech review of the year. So I'm very excited to talk about this with you guys today. As you guys know from the title of this video, we're gonna be taking a look at the new M2 Pro MacBook Pro, which is something that was just released, I would say about a week ago now. And you guys have probably seen a lot of information about it already right now. But for what I wanted to focus on today is how I'm gonna be planning on using it. So to be honest, I use my MacBook Pro mostly for editing. Like 90% of my workflow on my MacBook right now is just for editing. So I wanted to take a look at the new M2 and see if it was a good upgrade for me, just because I'm trying to see if it's worth the upgrade to a smaller screen. So let's get into it. Let's get started. So before we get started, this is actually Brian's laptop right now. And so the story is he actually upgraded his 2019 model, which still had the Intel chip. So I know this is a good upgrade for him because he's actually skipped a few generations and he's been really liking it so far. Now, I've been using the M1 MacBook Pro, which came out in 2021, and I've actually been really happy with it. So just looking at it when it came out, I know that it was such a big deal for everyone to upgrade to this because they're talking about all the new things. So let's actually go over what those are and let's take a look. All right, so this is the M2 MacBook Pro. So let's see what's inside. Oh, there we go. Tab that's gonna help me lift it. It's very nice size. We're gonna do the 14-inch. So what else comes in the box? So we have the braided cord charger, which is the magnetic design. And it looks like we have the manual. Oh, well, this one was something that a lot of people were mentioning, was the black stickers, which I think usually always is white, so that's an interesting choice. All right, and then lastly, we have the power brick, same USB-C port, and that is it. As far as the body is concerned, obviously I came from a 16-inch and this is the 14-inch, so definitely a significantly much smaller screen and a lot lighter as well too. This is going to be the difference in weight for both of those models. And of course, as this is the newer model, there's definitely a few changes to the actual body of the laptop. So right now this one has an upgraded HDMI port. We're coming from an HDMI 2.0 to an HDMI 2.1, which is basically just a fancy way of saying that it has now a capability to support a higher refresh rate monitor. So if you're like me who's connecting their MacBook to an actual larger display monitor, just so I can actually see my whole timeline, this is going to be really great because it can actually support the same speed and gives you just better quality. This also now has an upgraded Bluetooth connection, which now can support up to Bluetooth 5.3, which basically means that if you have a device that now also supports Bluetooth 5.3, such as the second generation AirPods Pro, then you can actually connect them more efficiently and use less power, which is going to save you for battery life on both those devices. And finally, another big change that they have is they've upgraded the Wi-Fi connection to Wi-Fi 6E. But honestly, to take advantage of this, you'd also have to have a 6E router, which right now are fairly pricey. So I don't know if a lot of people are taking advantage of it right now, but they are one of the first devices out there to have that support. Now, before we get started into the tests, I know that the Apple page is actually really helpful in getting really specific about what the new specs are like and how they've compared to previous models. And that's for me, this is going to be really useful because for me, I'm trying to figure out if this is worth the upgrade from my M1 Pro. So let's take a look and see what they got. Of course, we're going to take a look at the MacBook Pro 14 and 16-inch. So as you can see with the video transcoding and the video editing, which is mostly the stats that I'm going to be concerned about because of how I use my MacBook, you can see that the M2 Pro versus the M1 Pro did have a little bit of an improvement. And taking a look at the video editing, it looks like it has a little bit more. So definitely a good thing to see. We're going to test that out later on. But motion graphics is, I think, where I saw the biggest jump. So if you take a look at just the M2 Pro versus the M1 Pro, you can definitely see a significant change in those. So that's gonna be nice, again, where you're adding most of those motions, whether it's text or graphics, when you're adding it to your videos. For my use, I just really wanna make sure that this is actually that much more significant, other than just having the smaller body, if this is that much more significant as far as performance. I'm trying to beat the sun right now because it is my main light source and it is sunset, so we're definitely going to see some shifting in brightness in the video, but we're going to try to do this quickly. So I have here some clips from my memory card and I wanted to see really just what my first impression is when it comes to actually uploading those clips and, you know, seeing if it's like really a huge difference as opposed to what I'm used to when I'm uploading it through my M1 MacBook. So let's take a look. Minimize this guy real quick. So, looks like it read my card pretty quickly. Now let's actually take a look at some clips. Hopefully this is the right one. So let me see if I can do, let's just do a couple of them. All right, so this is good. So this is a little over a gig. Takes about less than a minute. That was very much less than a minute. Okay, that took like 10, maybe 15 seconds. So that's pretty good. Let's see about if we can actually play one of them back and okay, so picture quality is about the same as how I would expect it to come from my M1 Pro. Let's move it to a timeline. So I'm gonna pull up Final Cut Pro here really quick. I'm gonna pull up those clips that we just downloaded and see how quickly they'll transfer over, like really fast. Okay, what's my project? So pretty much the same as what I would expect. As far as playback, it doesn't really play it any faster or slower than the M1. There's still a little bit of lagging, which is, I feel like this is something that I was used to anyway, so it's not really something that I'm concerned with. I would say as far as performance, just from first impressions, I feel like it's still pretty comparable. How about if we add a little bit of text and see how that goes? And do, I want something that's fast. I never really use these ones, but I usually just go with like a custom, so it doesn't really have this much motion, but I do want to test out how fast it goes. I've never actually used that effect, but I know that that's there. I don't think I had a scenario that I would need to, but that was really cool. So let's see again. We'll just play it back. Wow, it's very, very smooth. And yeah, no complaints, no lagging on that one. I would say to definitely go to a faster motion. For us to do an in-depth comparison, I will be doing a follow-up video comparing the 16-inch M1 versus the M2 Pro 14-inch display. So that way we have actual metrics that we're gonna be measuring it with, and differences really in time to see if it's really that much more. But as far as first impressions right now, I would say it's still pretty comparable to how I expect them to work on the M1. So I'm still not seeing much significant changes. So the big question is, for our first impressions, quick review of the new M2 Pro, would this be something that is worth upgrading to? Well, I guess it really all depends what you're currently upgrading from. So if you are still using an Intel-based processor, previous MacBook model, this would be something that I would consider upgrading to. Now, if price is a factor for you, this does retail at around under $2,000. This would be a great time to maybe take a look at the M1 models, as I know that right now they are going through a significant discount because of the new release of the M2s. You could even probably get one that's refurbished and still in good shape, because I know a lot of people who have been using the M1s, which, like I said, just released in 2021. I think it's just a great refresh of the M1. So I would definitely still consider the M1s if price is a factor. And that is it for today's video. Comment down below if there was any tests that you think we've missed, or if you had any thoughts about the new M2 Pros. Would you consider the M2 Pro versus the M1 if you are someone who is still, like myself, very, very loyal to it? For the next video, we are going to be doing a more head-to-head test between the two to see if this is something that I would want to upgrade to in the future, and so hopefully answer that question for you guys who might be in the same boat as well. And if you're a newer viewer to the channel, hopefully you would consider subscribing to the channel. We are doing more productivity based reviews and videos in the future. Whether you're a new or regular viewer of the channel, make sure to also check out our second channel, Paul Twinkle 2, for more travel and lifestyle videos. We are going to be continuing working on those as well. I guess that's it for today. The sun is now going down, so I will see you guys in the next video.